You finish a long day at work, head home, turn on the television, and spend the next 2 hours scrolling through social media. It's supposed to be your time to unwind, but when you finally put the phone down, you still don't feel mentally ready to open a book or start studying. You aren't working anymore. The physical demands of the day are over. So why doesn't your brain feel refreshed? We naturally assume that any activity that feels relaxing must also be helping us recover. We equate a reduction in effort with a restoration of energy, but lowering the amount of effort you expend and actually rebuilding your cognitive capacity involve two entirely different mechanisms. When we hit that wall, our first instinct is usually self-blame. We tell ourselves we lack discipline, or that we simply aren't trying hard enough to power through. That guilt comes from a very specific view of education. We treat learning as a linear sprint of endurance, where success is purely a matter of how many consecutive hours you can force yourself to sit at a desk. The truth is that mental block stems from an incomplete system design, not a lack of motivation. When a system relies on a finite resource like willpower without any means of replenishment, the process is built to collapse. Look at this battery icon. Imagine this represents your cognitive energy, sitting at exactly 20% right at the end of your workday. You close out of your heavy, demanding applications. Instead, you browse a few websites, watch a short video, and check messages. The battery is draining more slowly now, but it is still draining. You are simply consuming energy at a lower rate. Many of our typical after-work activities function exactly the same way. When you scroll social media or read endless feeds, your brain is still actively processing new information. It is still reacting to novelty and making micro-decisions with every swipe. A phone doesn't recharge just because you stop using the heavy applications. It only recharges when you physically connect it to a power source. Lowering your cognitive consumption is a distinct state from true recovery. Actual recovery usually looks much quieter. It requires drastic walk, stretching, sitting quietly with a cup of tea away from a screen. Sometimes it just means going to sleep. This flowchart illustrates how a sustainable system operates. It begins with a period of high-quality, focused work, which naturally leads to a phase where your performance declines as your energy depletes. For most of us, this is where the sequence terminates. We wrap up and stop working. The process reaches a dead end, leaving us stuck at a point of total exhaustion. By inserting a specific recovery phase, you build a bridge out of that exhaustion. You restore the physical and mental capacity necessary to focus again. The loop is finalized with an energy reassessment, checking to see if your brain is actually ready to begin another high-quality session. Recovery operates as an internal, structural component of the cycle, as critical to the process as the work itself. Forcing your brain into another deep learning session without adequate recovery is like running back-to-back marathons without stopping for a drink of water. The necessary shift here is recognizing that genuine rest is a productive action. It may not create immediate flashcards or write lines of code, but it protects your future performance. It guarantees you will have the cognitive capacity required to study effectively tomorrow and the day after that. Building a sustainable learning habit requires optimizing for the quality of your thinking across weeks and months, rather than trying to maximize your raw output on a single evening. So tonight, instead of staring at your desk and asking how much more work you can endure, stop and ask what your brain requires to function well again. Design your periods of quiet and rest with the exact same intention and rigor you bring to scheduling your study sessions. If you neglect to protect your cognitive energy now, you are actively sabotaging your ability to complete your next cycle. Recovery functions as the prerequisite that makes tomorrow's learning possible. It is the foundation for every cycle that follows.